Hey everybody, it's GoblinX, and welcome back to my final early access premiere draft of Aetherdrift. Once again, thank you very much to Wizards of the Coast for providing me with this promotional early access account. And without further ado, let's just hop into our final early access draft of the format. I don't know why I'm emphasizing final, because we're just going to be drafting Aetherdrift with everybody else tomorrow, just the regular premiere draft format, but this will be the last time that, well, okay, I was going to say this will be the last time that I'm super new to the format, but honestly, I'm probably not going to do any more research before the set comes out, so it'll basically just be like my 8th early access draft once we do a real premiere draft. Anyways, I'm getting rambly. It's getting way past my bedtime, and I'm getting goofy here. But let's get our final draft in. We're probably playing a blue deck. We've got another great blue rare opened up here, the Possession Engine. This one's really fun because you steal your opponent's creature. You can't attack or block with it, but you can still crew this vehicle with that card. So it's really goofy. Like, you steal their shark, you chain it to your vehicle, and then you use it to fuel your vehicle and start bashing in for 5. Very cute, very fun card. We'll roll with that. For pick 2, we have Roadside Blowout. This is 2 and a blue to bounce a creature vehicle and draw a card, and you can even use it for 1 mana against a 1 mana value permanent, which is super sick. And that seems like a really nice tempo play. I don't mind rolling with that. Of course, a bunch of other cards I'm not super duper familiar with. They're also probably decent, but I like sticking to blue here. Pick number 3, we have Memory Guardian, which is pretty good if you have a lot of artifacts on board. If you have at least 2 artifacts on board when you cast this, that's when it's really good. You get a 3 mana 3/4 flyer, but even just with 1 artifact, it's fine. 4 mana 3/4 flyer. I'm not super excited about Rover Blades. I have been impressed by Lotus Guard Disciple, just a really sketchy enter effect for games where you're racing your opponent, which happens to be a lot of games in this format pretty flavorfully. Although blue, I think, plays better as like a slower kind of deck here, where just the great efficient removal spell of Ride's End might be better. 2 mana exile a creature vehicle, well, a tapped creature vehicle, or 5 mana to exile any. I think I'm going to take Ride's End here. Maybe go for a blue-white control deck. And that looks still very manageable here. There's Migrating Ketradon that also looks quite good, maybe towards a green-blue deck. Just a really good way to stabilize. But the strategist here, 4 mana 2/2 Flying Vigilance. All of your opponent's creatures get -1/-0 when they attack you. That can stop a lot of damage and also chip in for some damage of its own. Well, there's also a Momentum Breaker here, which is some removal. That's interesting too. But I'm going to stick blue. Pick 5, blue definitely looks quite open. We see another blue removal spell with Flood the Engine, or the pretty fun rare, the Waxen Shape Thief. This does only copy an artifact or creature you control when you cast it, right? So that makes it less flexible than most clones, but you also get to play it at instant speed, and you also get to cycle it, which kind of makes it more flexible than most clones. If there's nothing good on board, just cycle it away. This is pretty fun. I'll go for that over the Flood the Engine just for fun right now. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually just supposed to be the removal spell as the format progresses. Pick 6, 2 mana 0/8. I could take a tune-up here. If we get any of the good cycling vehicles or some good surveil and self-mill, this can reanimate a vehicle and turn it into a creature, just crew it for the rest of the game, which is pretty strong. I should take tune-up. I think that's the funnest option. Okay, double tune-up. Once again, I think Crash and Burn in the future, just trying to win, could be the better pick. It's basically 4 mana destroy any creature or vehicle in this format. But let's do the fun stuff. Double tune-up, and now we can definitely take some of the cycling cards. I like Stock Up. Divination just got way better. 3 mana instead of draw 2. Look at the top 5 cards, put any 2 into your hand, and the rest on bottom. Take that over the Bounce Off here, which is a fine tempo play. It's also a good card. But I don't want to be digging for my goodies here. I mean, I'm kind of a combo deck, potentially, with 2 copies of the tune-up. There's the Lotus Guard Disciple for those lifelinking attacks, the Kalorna Coral Tyrant, if I want to just slow my opponents down dramatically. Currently have no creatures that it's good to target with our Lotus Guard Disciples, so I'm actually just going to go real slow and take the Coral Tyrant here. Probably dumb, but this will be a fun, goofy way to end things here. Even if it ends in another little 0-3, like our first goofy deck, our white-black goofy deck. At least we've used something interesting here. Yeah, creature count is super, super low right now. Get a Gear Seeker Serpent, pick 11. I have to have a lot of artifacts on the board for this card to be pretty good, but we can work on that. Blue-white is an artifact-heavy color pair in this format. I would really like to cut the stall out. I don't think you ever want to hard cast this. So it's really, really quite filler in anything except the dedicated cycling decks. As you can see by the fact that it keeps getting past last pick. Pack 2, pick 1. We did not get a lot here. I guess I just take a Nimble Thopterus. That's a perfectly solid blue card. But we didn't get any like the good cycle. Well, Skybox Fairy. I could cycle Skybox Fairy and then tune it up turn 4. Cycle it turn 3, tune it up turn 4. Yeah, that's probably a good enough synergy to take over Thopterus here. But yeah, we didn't get any of the crazy blue-white cards or anything. Spike Shell Harrier is pretty decent. 5 mana 4/4, bounce their creature vehicle, and maybe even reduce their speed if they're a deck that cares about that. Maximum speed mechanic. If you have not played the format before and you don't know the max speed mechanic, that is on any card that says start your engines. You play it and you start your engines. You're now at 1 speed. And from that point on, every time that you ping your opponent, once per turn, you level up your speed. So you go from 1 speed to 2 speed the first turn that you hit your opponent. The next time you hit them, you're at 3 speed. And then finally, once you hit 4 speed on the fourth turn you've hit your opponent, you're at the full maximum speed and you get a bonus there. Now you can do it a little faster. Here's an example of a start your engines card, by the way. You can do it a little faster if you hit your opponent the turn you start your engines. So you start your engines, you're at 1, you hit your opponent, boom, you're at 2. You can do it twice in 1 turn if you do it the turn you start your engines. But every other turn, you only level it up once per turn. It just naturally starts at 1 on turn 1. This Gear Hulk's going to be possible to cast. You know what? I'll go Flood the Engine. We're like really close to mono blue. We're basically just going to be splashing tune-ups for combo potential. So I'm going to take the blue spell over the white spell there. Draw a card, discard a card on the Keen Buccaneer is a way to put any vehicle into our grave for the tune-up, or any big artifact creature, regardless of whether or not it has built-in cycling. So I like taking Keen Buccaneer here, and maybe some cards like it, and then taking just some really high mana value artifacts. Oh, Detention Chariot is literally perfect with tune-up. 1 mana to cycle it, 4 mana to reanimate it. Now I just have a 6/6 and exile their best permanents until that 6/6 dies. That is the wombo combo right there. Pick 6. Looks like nothing. I'll take the Lotus Guard Disciple. Again, I think this card's really good in the right decks. Probably like Boros is where it's best, where you have a lot of 2 mana 3/1s and stuff. It's just awkward in this deck because we don't have any cheap creatures to target with it to get that value. Diversion Unit looks fine here, but the double tune-up deck's probably more interested in another Skybox Fairy. I have 2 cycling vehicles right now to go with the 2 tune-ups. I don't know, this card's really good. 2 mana 2/1 flyers, slow down their instants and sorceries. I feel like this card's good enough on rate to pass up the synergy piece there. Sure, if I discard a Hull Drifter to something like a Buccaneer, that would be fine. Maybe I just take another flyer, though. Just blue-white flyers it up a little bit. Yeah, I'll take the Hull Drifter. I like the card draw. Pick 9. Nimble Thopterus is still around. Blue is wide open. 4 mana for a 3/2 plus a 1/1 flying Thopter is decent. It's a tortoise that gets to sit on its butt and crew some vehicles. Unswerving Sloth, I think, is a very, very good card, but I like being an idiot and just splashing white a tiny bit here, so I'm not going to take it. I would recommend if you're trying to win, taking Unswerving Sloth. I showed off how strong that card is in our last deck. Okay, pack 3, pick 1. No gigantic vehicles with cycling, or just gigantic vehicles in general, so we take the filler defensive removal spell. What's nice about this is, of course, if they don't have the power 4 or greater creature, it's got that cycling ability attached. Pack 3, pick 2. We can take a Transit Mage to tutor up our Skybox Fairy. If I have a tune-up in my hand, that'll be a nice little combo to make sure that that's going to happen. Again, should probably take Sloth, but that's too bad. I'm taking stupid Reanimator combo things. Except for the one time I took Diversion Unit. I probably should have just taken the Fairy. Pack 3, pick 3. Well, it's alright I didn't take the Skybox Fairy, because now we got Detention Chariot, which is even better. Super happy to have that with our double tune-up deck. I've got 5 more picks here as well, where it's possible we get past another tune-up, which would be insanity here. That would be really fun. Now we're passing a Vinwixit, which is pretty cute, but we are just the perfect deck to take another Detention Chariot. Pick 4. There is no tune-up in here. There's another stock-up, and again, because we're kind of a combo deck, digging 5 cards deep, picking and choosing what we want feels really good for this deck, so I'm going to take that. Pick number 5. Only got well, I've got a couple exhaust cards. I guess technically I've got the strategist thing as well. Oh, strategist and Buccaneer. Yeah, I mean, that could be good. 2 and a 3/3 crew 2, though. Such bad upfront stats. I'd almost rather just be ramping with an optimizer or crewing everything with interface ace. Yeah, I'm going to be running a lot of random vehicles. I think the interface ace should be decent for when we're not able to do our combo nonsense. Second artifact should for an artifact mana value equal to 1 plus the sack card's mana value put on the battlefield. Oh, Birthing Pod for artifacts. That's cool. I'm just going to take a removal spell. 2 more chances to get past that tune-up here. We're on to pick 7 out of 8 for pack number 3. It does not have a tune-up in it. Tragedy strikes again. Our artifact count is 11. Guidelight Synergist might be okay. I'd have to run all the Ticket Tortoises to keep that artifact count pretty high. Taking over Disciple, but it's not like I'm attacking in with anything with Disciple anyway. Because again, Disciple is triggering when I have Defenders on board, or 0/8s on board, or 0/4s on board. Pick 8. There we go, another Skybox Fairy. I did not find another tune-up, so I'm going to have 4 cycling vehicles and 2 tune-ups. Which is not insane, but should be pretty good and pretty fun. We'll see how it plays out. Making our artifacts cost less should be decent. The counterspell could be fine too, but go for the quick weld. It also ups the count for the Guidelight Synergist. I guess there's literally nothing else to take this time, so I'll take the Sloth. Kind of crazy to see it that late, but we're still in early access. And maybe I overvalue the card, but I really think that card is very legit. Camera Launcher. I mean, that could just put 2 artifacts on the board off of 1 card. That's pretty good with Guidelight Synergist. And Compactor is another artifact to sit on our board for our cards like Gearseeker Serpent. And the Synergist, that can also be removal in the late game. Feels fine. This deck's going to be fun. We have a ton of options for how to build this one. But I think what I'm going to do is go really heavy on the artifact theme and make sure everything is either an artifact or comes with an artifact. Make all the affinity cards really powerful, as well as the +1/+0 for each artifact card really strong too. Yep. 13. I have to cut 13 cards. It's not 13 cards. Yeah, I still need to cut 4 more. Uh-oh. Thought we had a deck off that. Guess I can cut the compactor. I still have 2 Flood the Engine, 1 Gallant Strike, 1 Ride's End, 2 Chariots, and a Possession Engine. Yeah, we can cut that. I don't think Shape Thief's insane in here, but I just can't imagine that card is bad. I'm just probably inefficient, right? Because the vast majority of the time in this deck, we're copying something that costs like 2 or 3 mana for 4 mana. Yeah, we can cut a land. We got the cheap cyclers. We're always going to be cycling. We've got the affinity to lower that top end more than it looks like. And then we can cut 1 more card. The ticket tortoises are still kind of insanely filler. I'll cut 1 of them and just have... I'll just be ready to get beat down by having too many cheap... or not enough cheap cards against the aggro decks. We'll see. Alright, we got a fun little blue-white affinity kind of build going here, with the most fun part being the ability to cycle these vehicles and reanimate them with tune-up, but we also have a really, really high artifact count to make our Gear Seeker Serpent really, really cheap, make our Guidelight Synergist really, really powerful. So, fun, strong little blue-white artifacts deck here. It actually looks genuinely decent, despite being pretty memey in terms of how we drafted. So I'm pretty excited to see how it does. So without further ado, let's hop into the gameplay. All right, here we are on the play for game 1. We don't have any of our combo potential in this hand, but we're on the play. We have 3 mana removal. We have Transit Mage to be up a card. We've got a really good top end here. The Spike Shell Harrier to slow them down, and the gigantic Gear Seeker Serpent. There's the 2 mana 2/1 haste that can also get some counters on itself. So we have Possession Engine, Synergist, double Fairy in this deck to choose from. I imagine we just always take Possession Engine. But I need something to curve out with next turn with this hand. This could be the wrong choice, but I'm just going to take the Synergist so that I have a curve turn 3, turn 4, turn 5. Okay, I think that's going to be a fine choice here, because we are getting steamrolled right now. I guess I could always have just flooded the engine. Turn 4. Okay, that threatens to turn itself into a 4/3, so I can't block. Oh, they don't even have a better play this turn. That is real lucky. There's the tune-up. Sadly, none of the combos here. We'll just have to reanimate an artifact creature soon. Bounce the Specialist, cost them another 6 mana to get that back out and swinging as a 4/3. Amonkhet Raceway, they have started their engines. Go for the Oil Gorger to start working on their speed and get some guaranteed damage in. Flood the engine here. It is 6 mana for them to make the 2/1 gigantic haste creature. I guess I could Gear Seeker Serpent to just attack with the 4/4, hold the flyer back this time against their flyer. That leaves me open to tune up and flood the engine in the same turn next turn. Snap block, probably die to some trick here. But it's better than going insanely low. Maximum Overdrive, that's super fine. Because we can just flood the Oil Gorger next turn and tune up our Synergist. Lightning strike the face. Raise the speed. Bold play. Alright. Flood the engine tune-up is the play, I'm pretty sure. Could play it super, super safe. And not attack both here, but attacking both locks in the kill if my opponent doesn't find lethal this next turn. They might just have like double lightning strike here, that'd be nasty. That would mean they had triple lightning strike. Okay, there's the specialist. And if they attack, I'm just going to snap block that, because if they activate it, they just die on the crackback. They have to cast something else. Okay, they let it die. And then there's the lightning strike. All right, that is a victory for us, and we are 1-0 heading into game number 2. All right, here we are on the play for game 2. I have no blue sources in hand and 2 blue spells in hand, so I'm probably supposed to mulligan, but again, at the very, very end here. Oh, I think we're against Cheon. Is Cheon Humph? I might be getting different pro players mixed up. We immediately drew the blue source, which is great. I also drew the tune-up to go with the chariot, which is filthy. So now, I mean, we just transit mage for our bomb rare, and then we're going to tune up our chariot the turn after that, and we're just rolling. So they've got the 2-mana 3/1. When it saddles or crews, gives flying. There's a her, that's pretty cute. Starts their engines, which is great, and once they're at max speed, they get 2/2 zombies at everything that dies. Transit mage attack's pretty good here. So we will go for the transit mage attack. Here's the tune-up. So they've got to have the cheap removal for Chariot here, otherwise they're quite a bit behind now with the 6/6 sending in. So green, white, and black mana available. There's Pride of the Road just for a 2/5 body. Sure. There's a Skybox Fairy for us. I really need this to hit a land, but I think I gotta go for it. Perfect. It's wonderful. And sorry, the mouse clicks got a little louder in this last video. My wireless mouse died. I had to pull out the corded mouse. Actually, last second. It was during one of these games. I don't remember if it was this game or last game. But I just leave the wired mouse plugged in for whenever my wireless mouse dies, so I don't have to run away real quick mid-video. Rides and to exile the Chariot. Rough. Zahir comes back. This could have exiled the Chariot even if we hadn't been attacking with it, though. They'd just have to wait for the 5th mana to do that. We're still in a solid spot with our Possession Engine coming up. Cool. Possess her here, and we get access to the activated ability as well. It only sacks other creatures. Yeah, and we obviously just possess her. They need another way to blow up another gigantic vehicle now. Okay, sack Pride of the Road in response to Surveil 1. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. If the flagship gets tuned up, we're so dead. If I get out-tuned up, I'm going to be so sad here. I did not get a mythic to tune up. Okay, blow up Possession Engine. I guess I can crew it here. At least tap Zahur for counterattacks. I guess I can't attack with the Defender anyway. There's the Omnivore. A new Detention Chariot? That's so funny. Sure. Five mana now for our opponent. 3 cards in hand still, all non-land cards, sadly. Guardian Sunmare, that is horrifying. We have to Gallant Strike that for sure. Yeah, if it gets a saddle attack off, it goes insane. Wait, this untaps itself every time I crew. So we use this one. They're down to 5, but we are playing off the top. It's weird that we naturally started our engines because we borrowed their Zahur. That's kind of funny. I was like, why am I raising my speed here? This deck does not care. And that's the double block for Detention Chariot. That's the one-shot kill. Go for the unblockable one-shot kill next turn. Land for turn. 2 spells in hand still. There's Hazard of the Dunes for a reach blocker. Go to our turn, find Nimble Thopterist. Show me the removal spell. And they do not have it. That is lethal, and we are 2-0 with this deck. I don't think this deck on average wins 2 games in a row that fast, but hey, I will take it. I mean, this deck's been some goofy fun so far. Hopefully I can keep it up. I think it's got a lot of really filler, really bad cards, like the 2-mana 3/1 defenders and stuff, that it's like, sure, it can technically crew, but I think there's a lot better you can do when it comes to filler, but Looks like the top end cards that we have, the powerful cards, are particularly powerful, like the chariots, tuning up a chariot, and our steal a creature vehicle as well. So solid stuff. We are 2-0 heading into game 3. Here we are for game 3 on the draw with a super slow hand, so you know I'm gonna keep it. It's our last draft of the early access. Who cares? I'm just gonna cycle this to draw a card towards hitting one of the tune-up synergies. We did not get there. Okay. Got the exile for that 4/1 here. Just slow the rate of the game down. We've got some cards that are probably a lot higher impact late game than our opponent's stuff. I mean, just in this hand alone. But definitely in the deck with all the chariots. Stuck on 2 mana over there, so the Synergist might already stabilize us. Just a 1/4 against a bunch of 1/1s. They do explode when they die. They deal 1 damage wherever they want. They're the upgraded version of Goblin Arsonist. But they need another spell to actually kill the Synergist. They can't do it off the Diver alone. They have the other spell. Grim Bauble it is. Alright, that's 2 for 1. Traded our Synergist into Bauble and Diver. Then I don't really... Yeah, I really don't want a Possession Engine on 1/1, so let's tune the Synergist back up here. Sure, I'll Possession Engine that, and that is big enough to crew the engine. And we'll have 3 artifacts on board too, which is nasty. That looks great. Yeah, the first couple times I drafted this, or maybe just the first time I drafted this, I had no idea what the synergy was supposed to be. I didn't realize you're supposed to crew the Possession Engine with whatever you stole. So you really, really, really do want to be stealing creatures with 3 power or more, if at all possible. Alright, destroy a vehicle, fair enough. There's the Tension Chariots. For the swing for 2 this turn, thanks to having Artifact on board. If we top deck any of the stupid little 2 mana 3/1 defenders, we get to attack with Chariot next turn. Another Wicker Folk. Alright, I'll strike that one, I guess. Oh no, it's toughness 4 greater, not power. Interesting. I'm so used to them being power 4 greater. Top deck like a champion anyway. I mean, I'm a little sad I don't get to crew the Chariot this turn, but if I could, I couldn't attack in against the 4/3 and the Diver, because they would double block. It'd be 5 damage, and then the Diver dies and does the 6th to kill the Chariot and get their other card back. Chariot Cruiser, mill a couple cards, pick something up from Grave. Oh, they milled something with a Grave ability. Oh, they can spend 3, discard a card, and reanimate this with a Finality counter. Cool. So they went for the Diver, which they can crew 1 with at worst. Put me to 16. Find the Skybox Fairy. Play it pre-combat. That is now 3 damage in the sky. 3 damage in the sky, or sending the Chariot on the ground. And they just chomp the Chariot with Diver. I think I still just hit the sky here. Probably not horrible to hold up the block either. They're starting to get towards a scary amount of counterattacks. They're attacking for 4 on board, and they can get a haste swing in with the vehicle too. Hit for 7 here. Oh no. That's rough. probably should have cycled this Gallant Strike by now, but I just keep waiting for that big, like, top-end bomb to show up. But it's Rakdos. I mean, I guess all their creatures are less than 4 toughness. Yep, that's certainly less than 4 toughness. Yeah, we've seen nothing in their grave, nothing they can recur that has more than 3 toughness. So just literally nothing targetable with the strike. I should just cycle this at this point, and I probably should have done it earlier. But I will definitely cycle it now. Spike Shell Harrier, that's not a bad one to hit. Reduce their speed. Force them to recast the Diver here, actually. That actually is lethal if I bounce the Diver. Should I just oops my way into lethal? I'm pretty sure I did. Oops, I win? Oops, I win, I guess. Alright, 10 damage and we're 3-0. Draft blue-white tune up the deck, cycle a bunch of chariots and tune them up, and okay. 3-0 heading into game 4. And that will be the final game of Magic. Alright, here we are for game 4 of our final Aetherdrift Early Access Draft. This once again has some mana issues, being a mono-colored opener, but it has good, oh god. It has good cheap interactions such as Roadside Blowout. Burnout Bastronaut is terrifying. All of the 1-mana ways, the 1-mana creatures that start your engines, I think are very good. Even the uncommons, like the 1-mana 1-1 start your engine, die, make a 1-1. The 1-mana 2-1 in black that starts your engines. The 1-mana 1-1 Menace that starts your engines in red. I think this is probably the best one because it's one of the most efficient ways to get your max speed up incredibly fast, right? Your opponent needs, even if your opponent has a 1-drop blocker to block this, it's got the Menace to guarantee that it's getting the damage in. I think the Bastronaut is very good. Okay, so I have the Skybox Fairy and the Chariot that I could tune up here. I think I just need to cycle whatever I'm going to tune up so they can tap out for Flood the Engine or Stock Up next turn. So I'm going to cycle the Chariot. This is a game we're definitely going to have to get the Exile for as long as the Chariot manages to remain on board here. Okay, and this board state looks like I'm going to have to Flood the Engine here. Slow down that 4 damage. This will be our first time getting to cast a Stock Up. I'm hoping this is going to play out as well as it does in my head, where we get to dig towards like our second tune-up or our second Chariot or something like that. Here's the tune-up on the Chariots. I can exile the Bastronaut and try to block Paragon, but then it's a 3-4 double strike and eats the Chariot on the block anyway, so I'm just going to let the Bastronaut put them to 4 speed. They kind of get to go to 4 speed no matter how I play it here. Because again, if I exile Bastronaut, I can't afford to block this thing and have it just trade into my Chariot and give them their other card back. If they have the sack a creature, destroy target creature card, that's going to be filthy here. It's so good against the blue removal spell. That just stuns something. It looks like they do, because they keep looking back and forth from their stunned card to our Chariot. Maybe not. Or at least waiting till main phase 2. Their maximum speed, so now their Menace card has double strike as well, which is horrifying. Catalyzer that taps for double red, which is actually relevant here because they're so stuck on mana. Okay, the Fairy's not super good. Let's stock up and play a 2-mana 3-1. Defender. There's another Chariot. That's huge. Chariot Gallant Strike. We don't know they're going to play anything big enough for Gallant Strike, but I don't think the 0-4 is going to be great here. Well, I guess it actually is. Because Gonna need ways to crew the other chariot and the ferry and stuff like that. Outside, like if the tortoise dies here, which it probably will be trading off soon. Yeah, we have to just play the tortoise and just be open to trading it off on blocks this turn. Okay, they're using Catalyzer for mana instead, though. Maybe not. They're thinking. So it's probably Chariot next turn. We go untapped land, Chariot, and hope we draw another untapped land to go Fairy and Ace on turn 7. We double spell. It depends on what we draw. There are a lot of other cards that could cost 5 or less that'd be pretty good to cast here, and then we just play Tranquil Cove next turn. Like the our vehicle that steals a creature. We definitely slam that down. Maybe a tune-up if they blow something up. If we top deck that, we play that instead. Combat, double striking Bastronaut I can't do anything about because it's also Menace, so we take 2, go to 15. Main phase 2, Grimbauble the Tortoise. Oh, Grimbauble the Chariot. Plus a 4 damage removal? Plus a 5 damage removal, sure. Chariot the bigger double striker again. Oh, at least that turn was really fast. Land 4 for our opponent. Oh, Jesus Christ. Alright. Yeah. I think they just got us with turn 1 Bastronaut. As I said before, these just 1 mana start your engine rares are fantastic. Guaranteed that they had full max speed by the time they'd run this Far Fortune out, which doubles the damage. It doesn't double it, it adds 1 to every time they deal damage to us, but that's still well more than enough to win this game. And yeah, you got me. All right, well, that's our 4 games of Magic for our final early access draft of Aetherdrift. I really got to get to bed now. It's already way past my bedtime, and I have drafted this set 7 times here. This was a really fun deck to end it off with. 3 and 1 with some sick little combo shenanigans with the Detention Chariot, Skybox Fairy, tune-up shenanigans going on. That was really fun and actually played quite powerfully, so I'm pretty happy with that. A Possession Engine's a really strong card. I've drafted it and played with it a little before, but I was playing it like the wrong way, where I wasn't like actually trying to take 3 power creatures and stuff, so I think actually playing with it the right way, it was pretty powerful here. Harrier was great. Having the really high artifact count made the Gearseeker Serpent a great finisher. The Synergist was decently solid. Just a fun deck overall. I'm pretty happy to have seen this deck actually get quite a few wins here at the 3-1 record, and definitely did like the stock up a lot. In a deck that's a little finicky with some cards you need to hit at the right time, I think stock up goes up a lot in value. And I think this deck is that kind of deck where we have to cycle the big vehicles. We only need the tune-up if there's big vehicles in grave. And the stock up, again, digging whichever half of that kind of combo out that we need. So, yeah, very, very enjoyable time here for the final early access draft of Aetherdrift. But the set is now officially out now on Arena at the time you're watching this video. So if you want to do some drafts of your own, it is out and ready for you all. If you want to play pre-release, that already happened at your local game stores. They're probably selling extra pre-release kits. if you want to go pick any of that up. And yeah, the set should be global, so starting tomorrow, we will be doing our daily regular premiere drafts of Aetherdrift leading up to its upcoming arena opens and arena directs and any kind of competitive events they want to do with the set. But as for me for tonight, it's time for me to go pass out. So that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed watching and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.